Have we ever stopped to consider why some people seem to enjoy longer, healthier lives while others struggle with health issues? The truth often lies not in luck or even genetics, but in the small, everyday choices we make without giving them much thought. Some of the habits we've grown accustomed to, habits we barely notice, might actually be taking years off our lives. As the saying goes, the way we start the day sets the tone for the rest of it. Yet, many of us begin our mornings with routines that might be doing more harm than we realize. Today, we're diving into 4 common morning habits that could be quietly shortening our lifespan. Stick with us, because what we uncover might just change how we start tomorrow. Habit 1. Waking up too abruptly. The hidden strain we overlook. We've all been there, sound asleep, when suddenly the alarm blares, and we spring out of bed, ready to face the day. While it might feel productive to jump right into action, that abrupt movement could be causing more damage than we think. When we sleep, our bodies enter a deeply relaxed state. Our heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and our breathing becomes calm and steady. This is when our bodies engage in recovery and repair. But when we jolt awake and rush out of bed, we disrupt this process in an instant. Blood flow surges, and our hearts have to work much harder to push blood to our brains and throughout our bodies. This sudden shift can be dangerous, especially if we have underlying health conditions. For those with cardiovascular concerns, this rapid transition can even trigger serious complications like heart attacks or strokes. And even if we feel healthy, over time, this strain builds up. Studies show that during sleep, our blood pressure naturally lowers, allowing our circulatory system to rest. But when we wake up too quickly, the body struggles to catch up with the sudden demand for increased blood flow. This abrupt spike in blood pressure and heart rate is especially risky for older adults or those with heart problems. So, how do we counter this? Instead of jumping out of bed, we should try easing into wakefulness. When we first open our eyes, give ourselves a moment. Stay in bed, take deep, calming breaths, and let our bodies gradually adjust. Stretching gently while lying down can also help stimulate blood flow without shocking the system. And once we're up, reaching for a glass of water helps hydrate our bodies and gently kickstart our metabolism. By embracing these small changes, we give our bodies the care and time they need to transition smoothly from rest to activity. Many of us have spent years rushing out of bed, unaware of the stress it places on our system. So, let's take a moment to think about how we start our mornings. Are we leaping out of bed in a rush, or allowing ourselves to wake up slowly and mindfully? Let's share our routines and explore together what habits we might want to change for the sake of our long-term health. Habit 2. Skipping water in the morning. A simple yet overlooked mistake. Mark had always been an early riser. At 55, his morning routine was a ritual. Wake up at 6 a.m., shuffle into the kitchen, and pour himself a large mug of black coffee. It was how he'd started his days for as long as he could remember. The strong, rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee was his signal to shake off sleep and get his mind ready for the day ahead. Water? That was for later, maybe during lunch or after his morning workout. He thought nothing of skipping it in the morning. For years, Mark believed that his morning cup of coffee was all he needed to get going. After all, it gave him energy, and he'd never had any major health issues. But as time passed, Mark started to notice subtle but persistent changes. Despite the caffeine boost, he often felt sluggish by mid-morning, and his mind seemed foggy, making it harder to focus on tasks at work. His skin had become drier, his digestion irregular, and sometimes, after his morning jog, he would feel unusually lightheaded, even if he hadn't pushed himself too hard. At first, Mark brushed these symptoms off as just part of getting older. But when the headache started, especially in the mornings, he knew something wasn't right. He visited his doctor, expecting to hear about diet or stress, but instead, he was met with a surprising question. "How much water do you drink first thing in the morning?" The question caught him off guard. "Well, I drink coffee," he replied, feeling a bit defensive. The doctor smiled and explained how vital water is, particularly after a long night of sleep. "Your body is dehydrated when you wake up," she said. "While coffee might give you a quick burst of energy, it's a diuretic. It actually pulls water out of your system, making you more dehydrated. That could be why you're feeling so tired and off in the mornings." Mark had never considered that his morning ritual might be causing more harm than good. The doctor continued, explaining that after 8 hours of sleep, the body is running low on fluids, which are essential for everything from brain function to digestion and even heart health. "Skipping water in the morning," she said, "is like trying to run a car on an empty tank. Your engine needs oil, and in this case, your body needs water." Determined to fix this, Mark made a simple change. He began keeping a glass of water on his nightstand and drinking it as soon as he woke up before reaching for his beloved coffee. At first, it felt strange. His body wasn't used to it, and he wasn't particularly thirsty in the morning. But within a few days, he began to notice subtle but undeniable differences. He felt more alert and clear-headed as soon as he got out of bed, and his usual mid-morning slump disappeared. His skin looked healthier, and even his digestion seemed smoother, and the headaches? Gone. After a few weeks, Mark realized just how much he had been depriving his body by skipping water each morning. He hadn't understood the importance of hydration, especially after a full night of sleep, but now he could see the difference it made in every part of his day. Drinking water first thing in the morning had become an easy, automatic part of his routine, and it was paying off in ways he hadn't expected. Months later, Mark reflected on how such a small adjustment had led to big improvements in his overall well-being. His energy levels were more consistent throughout the day, and even his morning jogs felt easier. He no longer needed that third cup of coffee to get through the morning, and he was more productive at work. Mark often shared this newfound wisdom with his friends and colleagues, many of whom were also morning coffee drinkers. "Before anything else, just drink a glass of water," he'd say with a smile. "You'll be surprised how much better you'll feel." It was a simple habit, but one that made all the difference, reminding him that sometimes the smallest changes can have the biggest impact on our health and how we feel each day. Let's be honest with ourselves. Many of us start our mornings by heading straight for the coffee pot, convinced that a cup of coffee is all we need to shake off the grogginess of sleep. While that morning coffee can give us a quick burst of energy, skipping water right after waking up is one of the most overlooked mistakes we make, especially as we age. Our bodies naturally become dehydrated overnight. During those hours of sleep, our bodies work hard behind the scenes, repairing cells, processing toxins, and keeping our organs functioning smoothly. By the time we wake up, our fluid levels are already running low, and turning to coffee right away, as tempting as it is, can actually make things worse. Caffeine, while beloved, acts as a diuretic, which means it increases the urge to urinate, pulling even more water from our bodies and leaving us even more dehydrated. When we skip that essential morning glass of water, our bodies struggle to perform basic functions. Our systems have a harder time flushing out toxins, digestion slows down, and even our skin can begin to show the effects of dehydration. Over time, this chronic lack of hydration can lead to a range of health issues, from constant fatigue to digestive troubles and even heart problems. Imagine it this way. Our bodies are like engines that have been running all night. Just like a car engine burns fuel while idling, our bodies burn through water while we sleep. And just as a car needs oil to keep running smoothly, we need water to keep our systems in balance. Dehydration affects nearly every part of our bodies. from how sharp our minds feel to how well our digestive systems work. Even our hearts are impacted by hydration levels. Studies show that drinking water first thing in the morning helps thin our blood, reducing the risk of serious cardiovascular issues like heart attacks and strokes. For those of us over 60, this becomes even more critical, as our bodies become less efficient at managing and regulating fluid levels as we get older. So, what can we do to fix this simple mistake? It's easier than you might think. Before reaching for that first cup of coffee, make it a habit to drink a full glass of water. You can even keep a glass or bottle by your bedside so it's the first thing you reach for upon waking. This small, often overlooked act can have a big impact. It helps hydrate our bodies after a long night, jumpstarts our metabolism, and aids in flushing out the toxins that build up during sleep. Plus, the benefits go beyond just hydration. Drinking water right away can help us feel more energized, more focused, and overall more refreshed as we start our day. Why not give it a try? Tomorrow morning, challenge yourself. Before anything else, drink a full glass of water and see how you feel. Pay attention to whether you notice a difference in how alert or refreshed you feel. This simple habit can be the key to improving our health in ways we might not have realized. Habit 3. Skipping breakfast. Starving our bodies of vital fuel. How often do we rush out the door, skipping breakfast and telling ourselves we'll eat later, or worse, convincing ourselves it's no big deal? As we grow older, this habit becomes more damaging than we realize. Breakfast is not just another meal. It's the one meal we should always prioritize. Its very name, breakfast, reflects its importance as it breaks the overnight fast, replenishing our bodies after 7 to 8 hours of sleep. By morning, our energy reserves are low and our blood sugar has dropped, leaving us without the essential fuel needed to function properly. Skipping breakfast is like starting our day on an empty tank, and over time, this can have serious consequences for our health. Mary had always been someone who thrived on routine. A school teacher in her late 40s, she loved the structure of her day, the early morning rush to get to class, the mid-morning lesson planning, and the quiet evenings spent grading papers. But there was one part of her routine that wasn't serving her well. She hadn't eaten breakfast regularly since college. Like many people, Mary's mornings were hectic. She would wake up, shower, and sip on coffee while preparing for her day, often telling herself she didn't feel hungry. After all, she had been skipping breakfast for years, so why start now? As the first bell rang at school, Mary was already deep into her work, too busy to notice the grumbling of her stomach. By the time lunch rolled around, she'd be ravenous, scarfing down whatever was most convenient, usually a sandwich or some snack from the teacher's lounge. It wasn't until she hit her 50s that Mary started noticing some changes. She found herself feeling exhausted by mid-morning, sometimes even dizzy during her classes. Worse, she would get irritable with her students for no apparent reason, and by the end of the school day, she was completely drained. At home, she lacked the energy to enjoy her evenings. Grading papers became a chore, and spending time with her family seemed more tiring than rewarding. To cope, she reached for sugary snacks or more coffee, but these quick fixes only made her feel worse later. Concerned, Mary went to her doctor, who ran some tests and gave her a wake-up call. Her blood sugar was unstable, she had gained a few extra pounds, and her blood pressure was creeping up. The doctor asked her about her eating habits, and when Mary mentioned skipping breakfast, the doctor sighed knowingly. "You're not just skipping a meal, Mary. You're starving your body of the fuel it desperately needs in the morning. At your age, it's even more important to start the day right. Without breakfast, your metabolism slows down and your blood sugar goes haywire." The doctor's words echoed in Mary's mind as she left the office. She hadn't realized the long-term impact of this simple habit. The next morning, determined to make a change, Mary set her alarm a bit earlier. At first it felt unnatural. She wasn't used to eating right after waking up. She started small with a smoothie made of Greek yogurt, a banana, and some spinach. The next day, she tried scrambled eggs with avocado on whole wheat toast. She even began packing overnight oats with fruit the night before to take on particularly busy mornings. After a couple of weeks, something remarkable happened. Mary noticed that her mid-morning fatigue disappeared. Her energy lasted throughout the day, and she no longer felt the need for sugary snacks to keep her going. She was more patient with her students, more focused during lesson planning, and had enough energy to take evening walks with her husband, something she hadn't done in years. Not only that, but she noticed she wasn't overeating at lunch anymore. Her cravings for carbs and sugar had diminished. The most surprising change, though, came during her next doctor's visit. Her blood sugar had stabilized, and her weight was slowly returning to a healthier range. Her doctor congratulated her on making such a simple but impactful change. "It's amazing what a good breakfast can do for your body," the doctor said with a smile. "You've given your body the nutrients it needs to function properly throughout the day, and it's paying off." Mary couldn't believe how much better she felt, all from something as simple as eating breakfast. She began experimenting with different recipes, enjoying hearty bowls of oatmeal with nuts and seeds, or sometimes eggs with smoked salmon and greens. Each meal was a reminder that she was not just fueling her day, but investing in her long-term health. Years later, Mary would look back on this time as a turning point. It wasn't just about breakfast. It was about taking control of her health, understanding her body's needs, and making choices that allowed her to live a fuller, more energetic life. She often shared this wisdom with her students, especially those who rushed to class with nothing but a cup of coffee in hand. "Take care of yourselves," she would say. "The way you start your morning sets the tone for your whole day and your future." When we repeatedly miss breakfast, we aren't just going hungry for a few extra hours. We're slowing our metabolism, setting ourselves up for weight gain, and even risking cognitive decline. It doesn't stop there. Regularly skipping breakfast contributes to insulin resistance, which increases our risk of developing type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Imagine the toll on our bodies when we deny them the nourishment they desperately need, especially as we age, when our health should be a priority. In the morning, our bodies need a mix of protein, healthy fats, and carbohydrates to refuel and kickstart our metabolism. Without these essential nutrients, we set ourselves up for overeating later in the day, or worse, reaching for quick, unhealthy options when hunger finally strikes. Studies show that people who frequently skip breakfast tend to eat more calories later in the day and struggle with maintaining a healthy weight. Even more concerning, skipping breakfast has been linked to a higher risk of heart disease, particularly in older adults. It's not just about missing a meal, it's about missing an opportunity to support our long-term health. What can we do to change this? If we're not hungry right away in the morning, we can start with something small. A simple piece of fruit, a handful of nuts, or a serving of yogurt can go a long way in giving our bodies the boost they need to start the day. If we prefer a more substantial breakfast, the key is balance. Protein, whole grains, and healthy fats should be our go-to. Think scrambled eggs, hearty oatmeal, or avocado toast. The goal isn't just to eat for the sake of eating. It's about choosing nutrient-dense foods that fuel our bodies properly. A sugary snack or processed cereal might give us a quick burst of energy, but it won't last, and it certainly won't benefit our health in the long run. So, let's ask ourselves, are we skipping breakfast more than we should? What are our go-to choices when we do eat in the morning? It's time to rethink how we start our day and make a conscious effort to nourish ourselves with a healthy breakfast. By doing so, we're not only fueling our bodies, but also investing in our well-being, ensuring we have the energy, focus, and strength to enjoy life to the fullest. Let's make a commitment today to give our bodies the fuel they need, starting tomorrow morning. Habit 4. Exercising too intensely, right after waking up. Exercising is essential for maintaining our health, particularly as we grow older. However, launching into an intense workout right after waking up can actually do more harm than good. Our bodies need time to transition from rest to movement, and skipping this crucial warm-up phase can increase the risk of injury and place unnecessary strain on our heart. When we first wake up, our muscles are still stiff, our blood circulation is slower, and our heart rate is low. If we jump straight into a vigorous workout without allowing our body time to properly wake up, we risk muscle strains, dizziness, and even fainting. For those of us dealing with heart conditions, this can be especially dangerous. The sudden spike in heart rate and blood pressure caused by intense activity can put significant stress on the cardiovascular system, potentially leading to complications. To better understand why this happens, we need to consider what our bodies go through while we sleep. During rest, our body temperature drops and our muscles and joints relax. This relaxation means that our muscles are less flexible when we first wake up, increasing the chance of strains or injuries if we push them too hard, too fast. Our heart also takes its time adjusting after sleep, and a sudden burst of activity can cause a rapid rise in blood pressure, which is not ideal, especially as we age. So how can we approach exercise in a way that benefits our health without putting ourselves at risk? Instead of diving into a high-intensity workout immediately, we should allow our body time to ease into the day. Beginning with gentle stretching or a light walk helps increase blood flow and warms up our muscles gradually. Once our body has had a chance to wake up, we can move on to more demanding physical activity. Establishing this habit is not only safer, but also more effective. A proper warm-up allows our muscles and joints to be fully prepared for movement, and it gives our heart the time it needs to adjust to increased activity. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., James's alarm gently wakes him from sleep. He doesn't jump out of bed right away. Instead, he takes a moment to stretch, extending his arms above his head and rolling his shoulders. His body feels stiff from the night's rest, but he knows that by starting his day with these small movements, he's preparing himself for what's to come. The sunlight begins to filter through the window, casting a soft glow over the room, and James feels a sense of calm before the day truly begins. After stretching, James steps out of bed and heads to the kitchen for a glass of water. Rehydrating first thing in the morning has become a non-negotiable part of his routine. He sips slowly, feeling the cool water refresh his system, awakening his body from within. Hydration, he reminds himself, is just as important as any other part of his routine. With his body starting to feel more awake, he moves into his living room where he always begins his morning warm-up. By 6:40 a.m., James is ready for his gentle warm-up. He starts with neck rolls, moving slowly to release any tension he's holding. He rolls his shoulders back, stretches his arms, and gently bends his legs. These small movements help get his blood circulating and loosen up his stiff muscles. After a few minutes, he adds in some dynamic stretches. Arm circles, toe touches, and walking in place. His heart rate gradually begins to rise, but it's not rushed. James has learned that a slow start allows his body to fully adjust and prepare for more intense movement. Once he feels his muscles warming up, James spends 5 minutes doing deep breathing exercises. This part of his morning routine is as much for his mind as it is for his body. He inhales deeply through his nose, holds the breath for a few seconds, then exhales slowly, letting go of any lingering sleepiness. He finds that these few moments of quiet help him set the tone for his day, giving him a sense of calm and focus before moving into more active parts of his routine. At 7 a.m., James puts on his sneakers and heads outside for a brisk 20-minute walk. He loves the feeling of fresh air on his face and the sounds of the morning around him. Walking at a moderate pace, he feels his heart rate increase gradually and his muscles begin to wake up fully. This low-intensity activity is perfect for getting his body in gear without overwhelming it. By the time he's back home, he feels energized and ready for the next part of his morning. By 7:30 a.m., James is ready for a more intense workout. Some days, it's a yoga session to strengthen his core and improve his flexibility. Other days, he opts for strength training or moderate cardio, depending on how he feels. But no matter the activity, he always starts slowly, or allowing his body to ease into the movements. After about 30 minutes, he winds down with a cool-down stretch, focusing on his legs, back, and shoulders to prevent soreness. After completing his workout, James enjoys a healthy breakfast, and he feels ready to take on the day, knowing that he's done something positive for both his body and mind. If we make warming up part of our morning routine, we will reduce the risk of injury and improve our overall performance. By taking just a few extra minutes to ease into our workout, we ensure that our body is ready for the demands we place on it. And in turn, we get better results from our exercise. Challenge yourself to think about your current workout routine. Do you exercise first thing in the morning? If so, how do you warm up before getting started? Let's share our tips and experiences. This could make all the difference in preventing injuries and promoting long-term health. Let's come together and share our best tips for staying active while ensuring we prioritize safety, and let's explore the powerful impact a mindful morning routine can have on our lives. Why is this so important? The way we start each morning lays the foundation for how the rest of our day will unfold. By making small, intentional changes, we can protect our health, boost our energy, and even add years to our lives. Whether it's waking up gradually, hydrating our bodies properly, fueling ourselves with a nutritious breakfast, or giving our muscles time to warm up before any physical activity, these seemingly small habits can create a ripple effect that transforms how we feel on a daily basis and how we age over time. Let's pause for a moment to reflect on our own morning habits. Is there one that might be holding us back or even doing more harm than we realize? Are we open to making small changes that could lead to big improvements in how we feel? These questions are especially important as we age, because the long-term impact of our morning routines becomes even more significant. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to the choices we make, and those seemingly minor morning habits can influence not only how we feel in the moment, but also our overall health and longevity. For those of us over 60, we may already be noticing the effects of certain choices more acutely. Habits that may have seemed harmless in our younger years, such as skipping water or breakfast, jumping out of bed too quickly, or pushing ourselves too hard during a morning workout, might now be taking a toll on our health in ways we didn't anticipate. These small decisions over time can contribute to chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, or joint pain. So, why do these habits matter more as we age? Simply put, our bodies don't recover as quickly or as easily as they once did. Dehydration, nutrient deficiencies, and physical strain that we could previously shrug off now take a larger toll, impacting our energy levels, mobility, and overall well-being. But here's the good news. By making thoughtful, mindful changes to our morning routine, we give ourselves the best possible chance at maintaining good health as we age. We don't need to overhaul our entire routine overnight. It can start with something simple, like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning to rehydrate our bodies. Or maybe it's about allowing ourselves a few extra moments in bed, waking up gradually to give our heart and muscles time to adjust. As we begin to notice the positive effects of these changes, we can slowly add more healthy habits into our mornings, creating a routine that supports our overall well-being and helps us feel our best. Here's a challenge for all of us. What's one habit from our current morning routine that we're willing to change starting tomorrow? Let's share it. And in doing so, we can encourage one another to embrace healthier, more mindful mornings. After all, every morning counts. Life is built on these small moments, and the way we start our day has a profound impact on how we feel and how we live. By taking a few simple, intentional steps each morning, we not only protect our health, but also set the stage for more vibrant, fulfilling lives as we age. Let's commit to making these mornings count, knowing that each small change brings us closer to a healthier, more joyful future. If we found this video helpful, let's make sure to show our appreciation by liking and commenting. If we resonate with the insights shared, let's leave a 7 in the comments. On the other hand, if we feel there's room for improvement, we welcome our thoughts and suggestions. And let's not forget to subscribe to Go Hard Journey, ensuring we never miss out on valuable tips that can guide us toward living a healthier, longer life. Now, take a moment to reflect. What's the first change we're considering making to our morning routine? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's embark on this transformative journey to better health together. Now, let's delve deeper into the powerful impact that small changes can have on our lives. As we've explored together, those initial moments of our morning hold incredible potential for influencing both our physical and mental well-being. The beauty of embracing minor adjustments is that, over time, they accumulate, leading to significant results. These changes can transform not only our day, but also our entire lives, especially as we age. We often associate health with drastic lifestyle shifts, but the reality is that our long-term well-being is nurtured through small, consistent actions. Many of us tend to concentrate on the big aspects, such as our diet or exercise regimens, while inadvertently neglecting the seemingly insignificant routines we engage in each morning. Yet, as we advance in age, it's these little habits that can either propel us toward thriving or hinder our progress. By proactively addressing our morning routines now, we can enhance our well-being today and lay the groundwork for a healthier tomorrow. Let's consider the practice of easing into our day. Taking a moment to wake up slowly can yield benefits for both our hearts and minds. Stoicism imparts valuable lessons on patience and self-control, lessons that apply not only to our interactions with others, but also to the way we care for ourselves. Allowing ourselves those extra minutes in bed to gradually adjust to the new day is not just a kind gesture. It's a wise choice. Research indicates that easing into our mornings can reduce the risk of cardiovascular events by minimizing sudden spikes in blood pressure and heart rate. This practice becomes increasingly essential for older adults, as it nurtures both physical and mental well-being. Waking up gradually helps lower the release of stress hormones like cortisol, which can contribute to feelings of anxiety. By initiating our day in a calmer manner, we set a peaceful tone that can carry us through the hours ahead. Another vital morning habit we should consider is hydration. Drinking water first thing in the morning stands as one of the simplest yet most effective ways to revitalize our bodies. This practice is not merely about quenching our thirst. It's about awakening our entire system. After a night of rest, our bodies crave water to rehydrate, boost metabolism, and flush out toxins. This straightforward habit can significantly reduce our risk of heart issues, kidney complications, and enhance cognitive function, benefits that become even more crucial as we age. Moreover, we must address the common tendency to skip breakfast, a habit that many, particularly older adults, may find themselves falling into. Skipping breakfast forces our bodies to conserve energy, ultimately slowing our metabolism and potentially leading to long-term health challenges such as weight gain and diabetes. Additionally, breakfast provides our brains with essential fuel for optimal functioning. By starting our day with a balanced breakfast, we can elevate our energy levels, sharpen cognitive function, and enhance our overall vitality. Lastly, we should consider the intensity of our morning exercise routines. While maintaining an active lifestyle is vital, diving intense physical activity too quickly after waking can strain our joints and elevate the risk of injury, particularly as we age. Instead, we can ease our bodies into the day with gentle movements like stretching or a light walk. In the long run, these small changes can yield profound benefits. A healthier morning routine lays the foundation for a healthier life, especially as we navigate the journey of aging. Let's commit to these small but significant adjustments, nurturing our well-being and paving the way for a vibrant future.